考定之道，皆英语之事，大学习之宜，皆文化之祸。接受 Q&A， 嘉盛家长会。
Hello everyone, this is Just Row Q&A. You're watching the first We Meet a program about English and English study. I'm Susan. In the last episode, I talked about the difference between American accent and British accent, and also introduced several useful ways for you to improve your pronunciation. Well, after the show, some parents came to me and asked, how much difference can I make if I help my kids repeat after authentic DVDs? Well, today I found a video clip for you to see it.
I don't remember that I have. If she doesn't go, the show will not be good. Without a good show, we can win. And if we lose, our class won't be named the most beautiful class. Without this title, I can be nominated in the school committee. But the problem is, why doesn't she want me to be nominated? Now, exactly elegant and experienced, she's the most beautiful and skillful in the whole district. Look, Susanna, this competition means a lot to you too. Getting the first place may even guarantee a good middle school.
This boy is Leo. Recently, he has entered the final round of an international speech contest in London. He has devoted 1,000 hours to Disney cartoons, but don't be scared by the number of hours. He has simply just done it for 1 hour every day for 3 years. While having fun in the movies, the songs, and the stories, he has also achieved a native-like pronunciation. Of course, there's still a lot of things for him to improve, but we have to admit that he is able to pronounce each speech sounds correctly and apply the rules of intonation and liaisons perfectly. And also, he has stuck to American accent and avoided all the common mistakes that Chinese people tend to make. As we all know, practice makes perfect, and it is especially true when it comes to pronunciation. Okay, today, as I promised last time, I will come to some details and tricks to help you and your kids speak English like Americans. But let's get started with two concepts, consonants and vowels. The phonemes in English and number vary from dialect to dialect, but there are generally two types of phonemes, consonants and vowels. A consonant is a speech sound that is articulated with complete or partial closure of your vocal tract. Examples are p, pronounced with your lips, t, pronounced with the front of your tongue, k is pronounced with the back of your tongue, and h is pronounced with your throat, f and s are pronounced by forcing air through a very narrow channel, and m and n having air flowing through your nose. A vowel is a sound such as a or o, pronounced with an open vocal tract so that there is no buildup of air pressure at any point above the glottis. The number of consonants is generally put at 24 or slightly more, but the number of vowels is subject to greater variation. There are about 20 in received pronunciation, 14 to 16 in general American. The consonants and vowels work similarly to 声母、韵母 in pinyin, but you have to keep in mind that no English sounds are pronounced the same as those in pinyin. And I will explain in the next episode why it is a very bad idea to remember English words through pinyin or Chinese characters. But today, let's just focus on 5 groups of important consonants in English. And the first group I want to talk about is called nasal consonants, including m, n, and n. M and n may appear at the beginning of a word or at the end of the words. It is usually not a problem when they appear at the beginning, such as in the words mother, moon, month, nut, no, or name. But many Chinese people have trouble when m appears at the end of the word. For example, they tend to read the following words like this: film, team, time, home. It is wrong. They should be read this way: film, Tim, time, home. When it comes to n and n, there's a very interesting phenomenon among Chinese people. As is illustrated here, people from the Northwest often pronounce n as n, even in Chinese. They contrast with people in the South who pronounce as n. As Dr. Dodson once mentioned in previous episodes, the problems one has when speaking his or her mother tongue will remain problems when they're speaking English. So students from the South often read the four words like this: think, swim, ring, and swimming. While students from the Northwest read the last four words like thing, peng, ming, and bing. But actually, they should be read like this: think, swing, ring, swimming, thin, pun, mean, bean. Also, people from Hubei tend to confuse the sound n with l. They can't pronounce both sounds, but their way of pronunciation is opposite to the standard. For example, they would read China as China, no as lo, and alienate might be pronounced as alienate. It is very hard for them to tell the difference both in Chinese and English. But of course, I'm not saying that everybody from those areas will make those mistakes. It's just a large proportion of people are likely to do so without necessary guidance. Okay, now let's come to the second group. The second group of consonants falls under the name stop consonants. P, B, T, D, K, and G. When reading consonant-final English words, you must try not to pronounce them with a strong vocalic offset. They should be read short, with no vowels attached. I've heard many people pronounce them in the same way as they read their pinyin counterparts. For example, some students might read the following words like this: cup, crab, cat, sad, like, dog. But in fact, these words should be read like this: cup, crab, cat, sad, like, dog. Another important thing that we must remember is their allophones. The voiceless stops p, t, and k are aspirated at the beginnings of words, for example, tomato, and at the beginnings of word internal stressed syllables, for example, potato. They're unaspirated before the phoneme s, like in stand, span, scan, and at the ends of syllables, like in cat and fat. Here on the screen, I've found more examples of them, which are often read wrong. It is strawberry, not strawberry. It is stay, not stay. It is spring, not spring. It is school, not school. It is Spain, not Spain. It is speak, not speak. It is string, not string. It is street, not street. The third thing you must keep in mind about phonemes t and d is that in American English, they are often pronounced as voiced flap. Examples include water, bottle, pedal, pedal. The flap may even appear at word boundaries, as in put it on. When the combination nt appears in some positions, some American speakers tend to read it like a nasalized flap, so winner may sound identically or similarly to winner. Okay, now you may have a clearer picture of read-stop consonants. Now let's move on to the next group called affricates. Ch and j are affricates, such as in words peach, teach, China, choice, chance, and orange, huge, Jonathan, jeep. Please notice that these two phonemes shouldn't be equivalent to the Chinese characters ch or zh, because again, there shouldn't be any vowels attached to them. So peach or teach shouldn't be read as peach or teach. Another frequently mistake that Chinese people tend to make is that they will confuse them with qi or ji in pinyin. You have to remember that in English, there's no such sound. There's no ji, qi, xi. So you can't read them like chu or ji, as I often hear people read the words like peach, teach, chance, Jonathan, or jeep. Now please read after me one more time in the correct way. Peach, teach, China, choice, chance, orange, huge, Jonathan, jeep. Now the next group is called fricative consonants, including f and v, th and v, s and z, sh and zh and h. The problem with labial-dental fricative f is also about a vocalic offset. People tend to read like fu, so they tend to read the following words like knife, wife, safe, reef. Again, it is wrong. This consonant should be voiceless. And many Southerners have difficulty telling f from h in Chinese. And again, they should pay special attention to them when they're speaking English. Remember, it is flower, not flower. It is knife, not knife. The problem with v is seen worldwide. 80% of pupils in Beijing tend to read v like wu. It is either because the teachers themselves have the same problem or because the class sizes are too big, so it is impossible for the teachers to check individually. So now please look at my mouth carefully.
V, v.
It should be pronounced like this. Put your upper central incisors in front of your lower lips and let air pass between.
V, v.
You can put your index finger here and feel the vibration. V, v. If your lips are vibrating, then you're doing it right. W in English is voiced by labial glide or rounded semi-vowel. W. It is a kissing movement of your lips and humming your vocal cords, and then you have the sound W. You may do this exercise to remind yourself how different they are. Try to repeat V and W as quickly as possible. V, W, V, W, V, W, V, W.
V, W, V, W, V, W, V, W.
If your lips are not moving, then it is wrong. Those who have trouble with these two sounds tend to read them the same way, like oo. So live becomes liu, have becomes hao. Okay, now let's do some more practice. Please read after me the following pairs of words and try to feel the difference.
Vest, west. Vet, wet. Very, wary. Vine, wine. Vow, wow.
Dental-frictive consonants th and v should be listed together as heading number 2 for Chinese people. And the reason is simple, we don't have them in Chinese. The digraph th in English are pronounced either as voiceless th or voiced th. And when you're pronouncing them, you must remember to put your tongue between your upper and lower teeth. Th, th.
Th, th.
It is usually voiceless at the beginning of a word in almost all circumstances. Exceptions are only short function words, such as articles, demonstratives, or commonplace adverbs. The, this, these, that, those, there, then. If you read a th word in the same way you read s, z, or d, then you know you've made a mistake. Now please read after me the following pairs of words and feel the difference.
Those, doze. There, dare. Them, demo. Then, dan. This, disco. Thin, scene. Theme, seam. Think, sink. Path, pass.
Alveolar frictive s and postalveolar sh are difficult for people from the northeastern part of China and Southerners, just like z and zh. It is because even in Chinese, they can't tell the difference between them. The northeastern people tend to read s and sh oppositely, and people from the south barely pronounce the sh sound in Chinese. So now, please read after me the following words and try to feel the difference.
Shop, sop. Shell, sell. Short, sort. Shake, sake.
Zh is often mistaken for by many people. Zh is called a frictive for a reason. There's got to be some friction. If it is not, then it becomes an approximant. So remember, it is pleasure, not pleasure. Measure, not mirror. Okay, finally, we've come to headache number 1. Alveolar approximant r and alveolar lateral l. The alveolar r is among the last phonemes to develop normally, and it is one of the most commonly misarticulated sounds in English due to its difficult pronunciation and similarity to other sounds. The nature of this pronunciation requires the speakers to manipulate different parts of the tongue, the lips, the pharyngeal wall in relation to the palate, making this sound more difficult than most other sounds. One phonological process that is often found among child phonological acquisition is gliding. For example, the approximant r is replaced by the liquid consonant w, and thus rabbit becomes wabbit, red becomes wed, and ring becomes wing. Another big problem for many Chinese people is that they tend to pronounce r more often than they need. I've heard many people read the following words like this: money, Australia, soda, machine. Remember, don't add the r sound when there's no r in the word. So please read after me the following words: money, Australia, soda, machine. People from the northeast sometimes can't tell the difference between r and y. In Chinese, they might read the following words like 平养, 一头, 自幼, 好银. In English, they must also pay special attention to the r sound. For example, it is ring, not wing. It is rainbow, not rainbow. As for alveolar lateral we must remember that it has its allophone. When this sound appears at the beginning of a word, it should be read as l, as in lion, locate, loan. But when it's at the end, it should be read instead of l. For example, in the words feel, cool, pool, school, skill, criminal, and pearl. The trick for this sound is that you must lick the boundary between your palate and your upper incisors. A lot of people, when they pronounce this sound, move only the muscles of their mouth without putting their tongue at the right place. For example, they're going to read feel instead of feel. Actually, in this way, they replace the sound with a vowel, o, and that is incorrect. You know what? To exaggerate a little bit, I can still make this sound when I move the muscles of my mouth crazily. As you can see, your tongue plays a more important role in this sound. But if you add ing after it, you don't have to read it twice. It's not feeling or killing, it is feeling or killing. Another common mistake is that some people read r and l in the same way, so bill becomes bir and cool becomes cool. The difference between these sounds lies in the position or the movement of your tongue. When it comes to r, you move your tongue backwards, curl it a little bit towards your throat, r. But when it comes to l, your tongue is not curled, it is flat, and you move it forward to lick the boundary between your palate and your upper incisors. Let's feel the difference by practicing this way. Pronounce the two sounds in sequence. L, L, L. There are several words that have these two sounds side by side, and thus worth your special attention and practice. For example, girl, world, pearl, whirl. Girl, world, pearl, whirl. Did you first curl your tongue backwards and then move it forwards to lick the boundary between your palate and upper incisors? If you say yes, you're doing a great job. Okay, now do you understand how to pronounce the important consonants in English? Before we end today's program, let's take a little review of what we've covered today. Group 1, nasal consonants. M, N, N. Do not add a vocalic offset at the end, and don't confuse N and N and L. Group 2, stop consonants. P, B, T, D, K, G. Besides the offset problem, also pay attention to the allophones, sp, st, sk, as well as the flapping of t and d in American English. Group 3, Africans, ch, j. Remember, in English, there are no sounds like dtc. Group 4, fricatives, for v and f. Make sure your lower lip is behind your upper incisors. Remember, v involves vibration, w requires a kissing movement. F and v are absent in Chinese. Be sure to put your tongue between your teeth. Don't replace them with s, z, or d. S and sh mustn't be confused, and zh must be differentiated from r. Group 5, the number one-headed alveolar approximant r and alveolar lateral l. Curl your tongue backwards for R, but lick the boundary between your palate and upper incisors for L. If you have no problems with these sounds, you have avoided more than half of the common mistakes that torture Chinese people. Feel free to let us know any specific questions that you have and try to practice hard when you have time. For more tips about English and English learning, welcome back to the next episode of Just Row Q&A.
到此一重千里目，谁知才上一层楼。